Hello once again, everybody. This is Rich with High Percent Trading. Today's short video is going to show you how you can profitably trade the markets every day for just 1 or 2 hours per session. And trading 2 or 3 or 4 different instruments, you should be profitable every day, sometimes getting very large profits for the day with very minimal risk. Before we do that, though, I want to put up our disclosure. Generally, we're required to do this, and so therefore you can take the time to pause the screen and read the disclosure. I think most of you are familiar with what it is because you are traders. But here is the disclosure for your purview. All right, now that once we've done that, let me explain the way I like to trade these markets. And I'm going to concentrate on the currency markets here. And I'm going to show 2 different time sessions to trade. Most currencies get going with very good trading during what I call the European pit open session, or just the European session open. And that is 3 a.m. Eastern time, midnight Pacific time. And I'm going to show the trade methodology for that. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to move on to a second session, and that's how to trade what I call the morning session. And that's starting at 8:32 a.m. Eastern Time, 6:32 Pacific. So let's take a look at the 6B. This is the British pound. And what I've got on here, I've got 2 indicators basically on here. Number 1 is one of the bread and butter indicators of our package. It's called the Oracle. And the Oracle gives us the projected trend for the day. It also gives us the very important projected sell and buy bands for the day, including the gold band. As you can see on this particular day, our trend was down on the 6B on the pound. So we're looking at trading on the short side. The other thing I'm using is what's called the time band. I have this band set because I'm on Pacific time to start producing its band at 1 minute after midnight. That's 3:01 a.m. Eastern time, and it's just a 4-tick band. I've set the setting here on this band. Let me bring the other one up to a -1, which was going to make this 4 ticks. Generally, the band by itself is 6 from high to high, but I put a -1 number in there, so it's just a 4-tick band. So the best way, the easiest way to trade this, and I'm going to first of all look at the trade from Friday. Our trend was down. This is the band that was drawn, and the trade, and they're not always as easy as this, but the trade was short as we went through the bottom of the band because we were on a projected daily low. I'm sorry, on a projected downtrend, and immediately moved. Now, what you're looking for is to take trades generally for 1 to 2 hours, but once you're in a trade, it's best just to manage it. And one of the ways I like to manage it is I'll stay with this trade all the way until we get blue bars, which is all the way over here. Now, this is a tremendously big trade, and they're not all as easy as this. I'm going to show all 5 days from this week on the pound. But this was the trade. It was one trade, a really great trade to the downside with a very large profit. And you can see the reward to risk on these trades is very large. Basically a 4 to 5 tick band for a stop with a huge profit. So that's the pound from Friday. Now let's take a look at Thursday. All right, this is the pound for Thursday. Again, you can see that our projected trend was down because of the dark red band. This is our band starting out at 3:01 Eastern time. We had one, so we're only looking for short trades at this time, just trading one side. Short entry here. We came down all the way within 1 or 2 ticks of our projected daily low, and this is a very good trade. This trade lasted approximately over an hour. And as I indicated, I'm just going to show how to trade this for an hour to an hour and a half, 2 hours max every day. That was your trade. One trade, just like the day before, a very big profit. Probably, if you were able to hold it down to this level, a reward to risk of approximately 15 or 16 to 1. Here's Wednesday's trade in the pound, and again, just like the previous 2 days, our projected daily trend was down. Here's our time band. We had one trade through the bottom of the band. Now this one did not run nearly as large as the others, and eventually, once we got through our time frame, we were already over an hour and a half in. This is a good example of why I like to trade in multiples of 2. You come down, you take a nice scalp if you can, and try to hold a runner if you can get a big move. But still, not a bad trade, a pretty nice profit for just an hour of trading. Now this is Tuesday's trade, and this is a good example because not every trade is going to be a winner, and I consider the most important part of trading, other than trade management, is managing your risk and using your stops. So here's a good example on this particular session of the trend being down. The projected daily trend was down. We basically had a short entry right here. This entry really did not materialize to anything. You would have hit your stop on the other side. Now, because the trend is down, and I can later show an additional way to go long on this, but I'm just going to show the simplest approach, which a lot of you I know are going to like, and that is just trading with the projected trend. So again, the short entry here, not really amounting to anything. It would have hit the stop back on the other side. And using this indicator, which is called the APB, if we were still trading within our hour to hour and a half or 2 hour time frame, I would not be looking to go short again unless we took this swing out to the downside now. And as you can see, as we move on here, this takes us to, we've never taken it out. We went through our hour and a half time window. So first 3 days, very, very profitable trading. Day number 4, which was Tuesday, a small stop out loss for approximately 5 ticks if you trade this the proper way. All right, this is our trade from Monday again, and on Monday, our projected daily trend was down. Therefore, we're looking at the short side. This is our 301 AM band right here as we traded through. It's short. Doesn't matter what the bar color is using this approach. Short, and you can see that we came all the way down within 1 or 2 ticks of our daily projected buy band for a very nice profit in the span of about 40 minutes. Some traders would have gotten out around here as we broke up. Others, if you were using the blue bars turning, you would have been out here. But in any event, again, a very nice trade, relatively short period of time, within about 40 minutes. All right, so let's show another instrument. This is the euro currency, the 6E. We're going to use the same approach that we did on the pound. And like I said, this approach works extremely well on the currencies. Again, and I'm going to go through the same methodology that we used. This is Friday's trade. Our projected daily trend was down. This is our 3:01 AM Eastern Time band. We had an initial trade short right through the band. We proceeded all the way down to approximately the within a few ticks of our projected buy band, again within about 35 or 40 minutes, resulting in a at least 10 to 1, if not larger, reward to risk. And that's your trade. That's basically your trade. You get in and out. Trading is not a marathon. So again, trade number 1 and the only trade, because as we went through our time now, we've gotten to an hour and a half, 2 hours, and no other trades. Okay, here's the euro currency for Thursday. Again, our daily projected trend was down, so we're looking at short trades only. We opened here in our European session. Here's our band of 4 ticks. Now notice we went above the band, so there's no initial trade entry here. We're not trading the long side. Later on, I'll show when we go to a different time session, and that's going to be our 10:30. I'm sorry, our 8:32 a.m. Eastern Time session, where you can trade both sides of this, and I'll give the reasons for that when we show that. But again, no trade to the long side as we penetrated back through the bottom. That was the short trade. Our stop would have been the other side over here, and you move down smartly on the euro. And this took us about an hour into the session for a really nice profit, a reward to risk here of at least 10 to 12 to 1, and depending on how you were managing this and out. So again, day number 2, we showed Friday, we showed Thursday. We just had basically one trade on each one. Very nice profits. Okay, let's move on to the preceding day. This is Wednesday. Again, the trend is down. Our projected daily trend is down. So using this trading approach, we're only looking at taking short trades. Here's our trade right here, short through the band. Again, we move down into and below our projected daily buy band, and this took us out to an hour into the session. So a real nice short entry here, moving all the way down and into here. And again, depending on how you were managing this trade, a reward to risk of probably 12 or 13 to 1. Again, very small stop, 4 ticks. With slippage, it might be 5. But again, this is the way to trade. You need to have very small risk compared to very large reward. And you can see so far, we've hit this just one trade each time for some nice gains. All right, let's go to Tuesday, and this is a good example of coming out of the gate when your first trade doesn't work. And again, that's part of trading because nothing is 100%. Some traders get discouraged when they take an initial trade, they get stopped out. They may enter again, get stopped out. They start to doubt themselves. They start to doubt what's happening. But if your stops are small, and in this case, we're looking at a 4-tick band only in the euro, that's $24, $25. That's not a lot per contract. So again, our daily projected trend was down. We were looking to take short trades only. As we opened, we traded through the bottom of the band, all right? Not really able to get a whole lot here. You might have had 8 to 10 ticks in here for a scalp, and that was it, okay? And then we went up above the band. So regardless if you had a trail on this or if that was your initial stop because you didn't take any profit, this would have hit the stop, okay? As I indicated, then the way to trade this is I'm looking because the trend is down and we had what's called an APB form down here. I'd be looking to go short again once we broke this APB, okay? One thing to notice, as we moved higher, our APB initially went lower and then started creeping up. And so now you have the APB that has moved up from here to here. This is the level I'm looking at. Not if we just crack the band, but cracking the band and moving through this level. That was your short entry here. That was about 35, 36 minutes into the session. A very nice trade to the downside. Again, reward to risk of at least 10 to 1. That brings us to about 120 Pacific. Again, this is all Pacific time. That's 4:20 a.m. and you're done. So unlike the first 3 days where we had profits right out of the gate, this one you had to work at a little bit more. No big deal. You know, small loss here, 5 ticks, 6 ticks, and then a nice big gain. All right, let's show our last day of the week. This is Monday. Again, our trend on the daily trend, daily projected trend on Monday was down. This is our band right here. So what we're looking to do when we violate the band of the downside, we're looking to go short. It doesn't matter what our bar color is here. We're just looking to go short. We have other rules for other types of trade setups where the bar color is important, but in this particular methodology of trading, because there's a lot of pent-up energy, we don't care. So initially it went higher. There's no trade entry. We finally broke right here about 20 minutes into the session, a short trade. This moved down about 22, 24 ticks from here, which would have resulted in a pretty nice profit. We then bounced back up. Okay. Once you've got at least 16 or 17, 18 ticks in a trade, if we come back through and then violate it again to the downside, that's a re-entry if you like to take that, as long as we're within our time window. And again, our time window is generally an hour to an hour and a half. An hour and a half would put us way out to here. Okay, so the way this is taught and the way it should be traded, again, it was a second trade here. If you like to follow the rule that I indicated, and that is, once we had the trade and it got stopped back the other way, you can use the APB break to enter the trade. So obviously the first one would have been here, second one here, third one here as we moved up. All right, and so as we broke down through the bottom, if you didn't want to take the trade here, you would have taken it about 4 ticks later through here and a huge, giant trade to the downside. Later on in our sessions, I show how to manage this when the bars turn blue initially and just stop you out and then come back. But even if you were following this approach, just a gigantic trade, probably 20 to 1 reward to risk. Okay, so that's the method to trade these currencies. If you look at most of the currencies, the yen, the pound, the Swiss, the Aussie, they all trade the same. Now that I have special rules I like when we're trading the Swiss franc and trading the Aussie dollar. I like to go to 2-range charts on those, but I'm not going to show that in this video. That's the subject of a follow-up video. All right, so again, this is how you can trade what I call the European session open. You trade for basically an hour, hour and a half. Most of the trades are done within an hour. You can make an extremely good living trading this with minimum risk and large reward. Now let's take a look at how to trade a different time session, because a lot of you may not be interested in trading the European session, but you may want to trade what I call our morning open. So let's take a look at that next. All right, here's our European method to trade, and it's slightly different. First of all, I want to show the time band I like to use. I'm on Pacific time, so I set this for 5:32 a.m. Of course, if you're Eastern, it's going to be 8:32. The reason I set it for 5:32 is that allows us to get through most major reports that come out. For those of you who've been following, or for those of you who are members, you know that we like to wait 2 minutes generally after a major report is issued for things to settle down. And in this methodology, by setting your time band here, you're not stepping into a problem and you're allowing the markets to settle down. So again, the time band that I like to use for the currencies is 5:32 a.m. Pacific time. That's going to be 8:32 Eastern. Now, because we have a lot of major reports that come out at that time, and because market factors are different, somewhat different in the morning session, it doesn't matter which direction our projected trend is for the day. What I'm basically looking to do is trade both sides of the band. Okay, I'm looking to get one really big, nice trade or two average trades out of it. The most they'll generally go on any type of a trade is going to be 3 or 4 max, and that's going to be it. Attempts. And again, we're only looking at trading for a relatively short period of time, and that is basically an hour to an hour and a half if you're so inclined to go out that far. Okay, so let's take a look at what we're looking at. Here is our initial band that formed here at 5:32 a.m. We traded up through the top, so that's a long trade. All right, this trade got about 10 ticks initially for a scalp, but nothing more. All right, didn't matter that the trend was up, down for the day. We still took a long trade. If you were still in the trade as we came down through the bottom, we reversed. This was basically maybe a minute and a half later. Reversal trade for a very nice gain to the downside. Reward to risk here about 8 to 1 as we came in to our projected daily low area. You can see we came right down to it and then broke above it. All right, and then we're still within our time frame. We haven't even gotten, we got about a half hour out through it. And again, a long trade up here. Very nice trade all the way to the upside. Came back and hit our gold band. There's specific ways to trade these as well. Some of you are very familiar with it. Others may not. And if you're not, please try to either see the other videos or make a request to come into our rooms if you're not invited, if you're not a member. But again, a very nice trade. And this puts us about an hour out into the session. If you were so inclined to trade one more time, taking that out to about an hour and a half, when we pulled back down again to our band, we closed above it. That would have been a long trade here all the way through. So again, as I indicated, I like to take 2 to 3 trades if I can, trying to get one big winner if I can, or 2 average trades. This is in a situation where you would have had a total of 4 trades, 1, 2, 3, and then if you wanted to go extend it out, 4. All right, here's our trade for Thursday. Again, the projected daily trend was down, but as I indicated, in trading this time frame, I'll trade both sides to try to take advantage of all the pent-up energy. So the initial trade through our band was short, an extremely nice trade. If you were able to hold this about 12 to 1 on a reward to risk. Then we popped up through here. Okay, this is only 5 or 6 minutes into our session. Popped up through for a small scalp and nothing more, but then a reshort on the way down for a medium type gain. Okay, a nice gain, 12, 15, 16 ticks if you're able to manage it. All right, we're still moving through our time. And as we move back up through here again, as we closed above it right here, we had our long entry. An aggressive trader could have taken the APB break here or here. That's a little variance as to how to trade this, but again, just trading the rules, long through here, and an extremely great, nice big move, almost coming up to our projected sell band. Okay, and those are your trades basically. You've had a combination here of 4 trades. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you're done. And you were actually done within the first hour of trading this session. Okay, this takes us to Wednesday. Now, Wednesday was a little bit more of a choppier day, but still it performed extremely well. Again, using the same techniques that we had before. Doesn't matter what our daily trend is. This is our band that formed at 8:32 a.m. Pacific. We went long through the band here. Got about 10 ticks to the upside. Depending on how you manage this, eventually it was going to be a short entry here. Getting up to about 20 ticks to the downside here if you're able to hold on that. Again, this is only not even a half an hour trading. Long through here for a little profit and then holding it or re-entering the long here and hitting our projected daily low. You can see that what happened here on the euro this day is the euro broke very sharply from earlier on in the European session. If you recall the European session that I was showing way over here, we had a short entry here that was a giant home run, if you remember that. Okay, so this was just a continuation of that day, and this shows that when we got way oversold, this methodology still works very well. So basically, you had 1, 2, 3 trades, maybe a 4th right here. That takes us basically only about an hour, hour and a half into our session, and we're done. All right, here's Tuesday. Again, using the same methodology on Tuesday. Doesn't matter what our trend is, using this methodology. But initially we had a short trade here. Pretty nice medium little profit. We had a long trade here that did not really amount to much. Unless you were quick on a scalp, you wouldn't have gotten much. It did reverse to short back here. This puts us a half an hour basically into our session. A scalp right here for maybe 8-9 ticks, and then you get the home run long right here. This is about 40 minutes into our session. Just a beautiful long trade through here. We moved all the way up. We actually came within a tick of our projected sell band for the day for a really big. This is probably 20 to 1 risk to reward here. Okay, and a lot of our traders know how to get out of this up here using other types of techniques that we cover. And that's it. That was the trade on Tuesday. All right, I'm going to show Monday. Now, Monday you had to work a little bit harder at this. Not every day is as easy as some of the days, but again, with very large reward to risk, which these trade setups have, and the very relatively small stop, because like I said, we're working on a 4-tick band, you need to have some perseverance on here. So initially coming out of the gate here, what we had was a long entry right here. All right. Again, this long entry would have amounted to maybe 8 ticks max before we came down on the short. So if you weren't quick enough, you would have had to reverse to short. The short trade did nothing, okay? And then as we broke our APB to the upside, remember, because we had trade 1, trade 2, I'm looking to go long off the APB, which was here. This trade worked out nicely, okay? This was again, a small profit, not a huge profit. And of course, your stop would have been under here as we went. As we continued on down, then we had one more trade entry short right here. Now, depending on where your stop management was, if you had a stop on the other side, you would have gotten hit. But then as we came back down through, you go short here, or the more conservative is when we break right here. Okay, again, for a nice profit, this one amounting to about 8 or 9 to 1 reward to risk. And this brings us out basically an hour and a half past our session. So this is an indication where you had to work at it a little bit harder, but again, with very small risk, much bigger reward, you're going to come out ahead. So again, this is an indication of showing 5 trades sessions, 5 trading sessions, every one of them profitable. 3 of the 5 very easy. The other 2 you had to work at a little bit more, but again, trading both sides of your time band for a nice profit. Now, as I indicated, there's for certain other types of markets, we use different time frames for a couple of these currencies, like the Swiss and the Canadian and the Aussie dollar. We like to use smaller charts, like 2-range charts. I can talk about the nuances on those for fine tuning. But I've got our web page up here. If you're interested in this, if you'd like more information on this, if you haven't taken a trial, or if you're interested in becoming a member, because I think you can see that this methodology, and this is just one of our methodologies that we use, is extremely profitable. I've put our contact page up here. You can request some information if you fill this out and send it. You can also request a free trial if you've not had a free trial of some of our packages, primarily the Oracle Trader. You can fill this out and request it. So I urge you to do so. I think you can see that if you're looking to enhance the profits of your trading, if you're looking to be able to maybe trade on a full-time basis, and by full-time, I'm meaning a couple of hours a day, that's it. This is a great way to do it. So thanks for watching, and I hope to hear from some of you and hope to see some of you in our trade analysis rooms or our workshops. Again, thanks for watching. I hope this is informative, and I hope you try to take advantage of some of the techniques that were employed in this recording. Thanks for watching again. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.